Let's fight. Let's fight, ladies and gentlemen. Let us fight. A very good evening to each and every one of you. A very good evening to each and every one of you. Good to see you guys wherever you're joining us from this evening. Happy to have you guys with us. You have to retweet, you have to click like, you have to share, subscribe. Wherever you're joining us from tonight, whether at home here in Guyana or if you're joining us in the diaspora, we are tremendously privileged to have each and every one of you. Here is where we promote the truth and we defend the facts. Click like, retweet, share, subscribe. And let's get going, guys. We have a couple of guests who are going to be joining us this evening. I think I just like hearing this song. So I think I'm going to have it one more time, folks, just to wake some of us up. Don't sleep on us. Can't sleep on us now at all. Yep. Let's get ready, folks. Let's get ready. Welcome in the ring. Welcome in the ring, folks. We are getting ready at our end, and we are going to ensure that we are shared in all the right places and that we ourselves are paying the price of admission. It's Flashback Friday, and we're looking back at the catfish speech on Indian Arrival Day, or on Arrival Day, rather. And so, guys, ensure that you are sharing us wherever you're joining us from. Good to see each and every one of you this evening, out ringside and ready to go. Ringside and ready to go, folks. Thank you for those shares. Thank you for those shares. All right. And I am about ready at my end. So much for that. Let me ensure that we are good to go in some other places. And guys, we're gonna start the rumble. We are going to start to rumble. Let's get ready, folks. All right. I know that is gonna definitely get some of us moving in the right direction. So click on that retweet, click on that share, click on that like, and guys, let's get going. Push your body. I know it's the same. Push your body. That's how we say it here colloquially. Push your body. And let's go, folks. Good to see so many of you already up and out, guys. Good to see so many of you. All right, I'm getting my stuff done at the back this side, and I hope you guys are getting ready at your end as well. All right, we know some folks are a little slow this evening, so we got to help some folks out. And that is what we're doing. We are helping some folks out. Some people are a little slow. And so we're helping some folks out. Good to see so many of you, though. Good to see so many of you, and we are getting set at our end. Welcome in the ring, folks. Welcome in the ring. I need that bell again. Welcome in the ring, folks. All right. Let's get ready, folks. Let's get ready. Good to see each and every one of you. Renita Andrews and Kenny Rose, Denise Mitchell and Regendra Dionanot. Is this Orwell? Dawn Cook, Karen Murray Hawker, so many fine folks. Tessa Isaac, Graves Andy, and Donette Joseph. Donette, how are you doing there? Where are you guys joining us from? I know someone is watching from New Amsterdam. Sheena Hazel is watching us all the way from New Amsterdam. Paula Morris is watching, and Petal Thorne and Shelley Lewis. Good to see all of you guys. Who is joining us who is joining us there on YouTube? Who is the tuber? Let me see. I'm trying to pick that up. Who is the tuber we have with us this evening? Guys, we got some guests going to be stopping by. All right, I think I may have lost that. I see Elizabeth Narine is watching. Is it right, Elizabeth? I think they got too many Elizabeth Narines. Good to see you, folks, there in the diaspora. Wherever you're joining us from, whether it's home here in Guyana, whether you're in the diaspora, internationally, welcome in the ring, folks. Welcome in the ring. Welcome in the ring. And we're gonna have a couple things we're gonna play for you tonight. Of course, we're looking back. Let me get you guys started before our guests come on, and I'm gonna play it back when we start our discussion. Of course, we're going to be talking about some of the final moments and some of the final quotes of Irfan Catfish Ali. And believe it or not, we couldn't put our hands on all of them. So if you guys have a couple, please let us know. We are flashing back to one, the infamous arrival day speech by Irfan Ali, the installed president. And we've put with that a couple of quotes, a couple of infamous quotes as well. And we're going to come back and I'm going to see you guys on the other side of this. Take a listen.
Every group that came did so for improvement, did so to have improved living conditions, did so that successive generation will be better off.
What's the role for the
Guys, somebody is trying to rain on our parade. I don't know why we're getting this trouble, but we're gonna ensure that we get all the things together for you. Let me see if we can rectify it. I don't know why we're getting this trouble. All right, let me see if we have it now for you.
Improve living conditions, did so that successive generation will be better off.
what's the role for the outgoing government? Do you foresee having talks with them immediately or in the very near future?
It has to be a continuous conversation.
We are not in a witch hunting exercise. We are not in any witch hunting exercise. Let me make that very clear. We are going to act professionally. I'm using a lot of pineapple. I'm no doctor, but I'm telling you some of the things they can do locally are utilized to ensure that the perpetuators of this. Let us remember that every group that came did so for improvement, did so to have improved living conditions, did so that successive generation will be better off.
What's the role for the outgoing government? Do you foresee having talks with them immediately or in the very near future?
It has to be a continuous conversation.
All right, so we're going to have some more of that in a little bit. But that was some of the gaffes by the installed president. And I have joining me this evening right away, I have MP Ricky Ramsaroop, and I have also joining me MP Vinceroy Jordan. And Ricky is from Region 4. You guys just center up yourselves a little bit there. And I have Mr. Winston Jordan, who represents Region 5 and 3 and represents those regions very ably. Now, guys, y'all are at this. We have this administration that is out there, and they are a gift that keeps on giving. Firstly, let me start with Ricky. Ricky, how are things at your end?
Well, we have some early rain that started early by, and the struggle continues
Yeah,
as usual.
yeah,
Every day I'm receiving minimum 2 calls as to what really going on. I said, well,
yeah,
boss, I ain't vote for them. You
yeah.
understand?
When
So
when are we getting them out? That's why I always hear. When y'all getting these people out?
yeah, no, people are very eager, but I mean, it's kind of hype me up and kind of make me feel good about it. But I said that they got to bear, I mean, a lot. Look, our side also are saying that let them go through the struggle. Then I said, man, no, we can't do that. You understand? This is our people.
Correct,
We have to represent
correct.
everyone. I don't care what race, what religion you are. I am going to listen. I have to listen. That is my duty. And we have to ensure that we give them the support that is needed because they are missing it. I tell you straight, they are missing it, and they want us to be with them, and especially the young ones like yourself, myself, and Vinceroy. The passion that we drive, the thing that we picked, the way that we are picking up on every single aspect of things that they can expect, you know. And I was a bit disappointed the other day when Anandalal speaks about we have a lazy bunch of MPs. I don't think it's a lazy bunch of MPs. I think they can handle the pressure.
Oh, he has to
Right?
say something. He has to earn the pay.
Yeah,
He
you
has to
know,
earn the pay, so he has to say something.
yeah.
So I won't worry about that too much at all. And Ricky, how are things on the East Coast? Because I know that is where you give representation to largely, even though you're an MP for the entire country. How is the East Coast going? I know lots of crime. Oh my Lord.
Yeah, well, it's
Boy, oh
it's
boy.
kind of it's spiraling out of control. We know that. We find that many of the youths now are not employed. Some of them are, and make matter worse is the schooling. Um, because the school is not at regular, so you find that many of them, have a bit of some idle times. But at the same time, you expect that the police to do the job what they have to be doing. And I'm not making. I know I'm so disappointed because you and I are very close. He was in the security ministry, and you don't put this false statistics. We had system in place. As soon as you enter um, a report at the police station, it goes straight into the crime database, and it comes
Action,
in a different category.
action happening, action.
You know? And
Great.
one more thing on the East Coast, I'm so disappointed that despite our plea in Parliament not to the government conduct the business in a red and green villages, and it's still happening, bro.
Well, we're going to
It's still
talk a bit
happening.
about that. The inequality in the distribution of government services. We're going to talk a little bit about that. My brother, who I try to look like, my brother from a different mother, Vinceroy Jordan, MP. How are things there in Region 5 and 6? I see you had a lovely market day
Hi,
recently.
Sherrod. Good evening, Ricky. Good evening to you, brother.
Good evening.
Well, I'm glad that you saw the market day. Actually, Region 5 is going well so far in terms of our developments. And when I say our development, I'm speaking about works that we continue to do even as we sit in the opposition. Um, the markets are established in a number of communities, one in Hopetown Village, one in Belladrum Village, one in Calcutta, and what you see recently is one being launched in number 28 Trafalgar. And
Mhm.
those markets, they're basically community markets. They started off as farmers market day, but now they will be permanent community markets. So the people within those communities, they don't need to go to the main market, which is Rosignol, every Saturday to purchase the vegetables, their groceries, or be it meat kind. They can have it right home in the backyard if some of them wish. So
Yeah, yeah.
what happened actually is
Fresh
that
organic food,
fresh organic,
very
right?
healthy.
You
Yeah,
you must mention that because we're speaking about Region 5. So it is fresh organic. We have the cows, we have the sheep, we have, and we mix the mold together, and we have everything to treat our gardens well here in Region 5. All right. So it's fresh organic. But the thing about it is that the communities, they have received this initiative very well, and they have worked together with myself and the other executives of the NDC, the coalition, so as to put the markets out there and get them going. Um, if you follow not Rosenau, sorry, Hope Town Market is in operation for over 2 months, and that is every Saturday from 6 in the morning. You can go there and you can have all that you're
excellent,
looking for. Even
excellent.
apples in the time of middle of the month, you can go and have apples and grapes at Rosenthal Market. We have at Belladrum, you can have everything from kitchen utensils, fresh fruits, vegetables, pork, fish, chicken, you name it, Sherrod. You can find it in all the communities that I would have mentioned. And I must say to the people of Region 5, particularly in those communities, let us keep working together so as to move our communities together. And what we want to do also, Sherrod, is to have the NDCs regularize these markets and put them have the market committees established, and so the markets will now function under the NDCs, and so it will be something that is well organized and is
Well
set for
structured. Yeah.
community development, right?
Fantastic. I think it's a fantastic idea to have these very you don't get more local in terms of markets than the concept that you guys are organizing there.
Yeah. And just before we go forward, I just want to let you know we're having an independence launch in Ithaca, right? One of the best villages in West Coast of Berbice, Ithaca.
Oh
As a matter of fact,
yes.
one of the best villages in the country. Everybody knows about Ithaca, and we will be launching on Independence Day. I don't think it's a better way to launch a market to in the community of Ithaca, where the people there, you will see what they can do. They have farmlands in large quantities, that is, and they have been farming for a number of years. And the coalition government under Winston Jordan, the Honorable Winston Jordan, my big cousin, he would have ensured that Ithaca was given uh, equipment such as bulldozer, excavator, and brush cutter, you name it. Those things that are you would be necessary, tractor that would be necessary to use on a farm, and
Uh-huh.
they would have opened a couple of hundreds of acres of land, and they would have been farming for a number of years. I think about 3 years now. They're farming on those lands, and as if this administration, well, we know this administration doesn't care about the well-being of people. They
Correct.
took away machines, and I must mention it here and now. They took away the machines, the RDC of this installed government, the chairman and his team. They took away the machines from the people of Ithaca, and they moved them from that community and sent them to Cotton Tree and Number Three to work.
Well,
And
the policy is whether it makes sense or not to undo everything good that the
everything, correct.
AFC government did. That is the one policy.
Yeah. So I'm letting them know, and I'm putting them on notice. Whatever they try to do, they cannot stop the operation of the people of the Mahaika Borbis region when it comes to positive development under the stewardship of the APNU AFC. Whether it be in government or in opposition, we will continue to work with the people, and they will see success among the people of the Mahaika Borbis region.
Fantastic. And folks who are now joining us, we encourage you guys to share the live stream wherever you are, whether you're at home here in Guyana or you're in the diaspora. the price of admission is to share the live stream. That is your participation. We're going to be joined momentarily also by MP Jermaine Figueira, and we have with us this evening MP Ricky Ramsaroop, and we also have MP Vinceroy Jordan, representing Region 4 and Region 5 and 6 respectively. Guys, I want to look back. Our flashback this evening is to this big arrival day speech with the installed president. And I want to take us back to that and also to some of the infamous gaffes that we got out of Irfan Ali, and to get a sense of, when you heard it, what did you think instinctively when you heard this speech? And then we're going to take it from there. So guys, let us take a listen, and then we're going to have some commentary on the other side.
Let us remember that every group that came did so for improvement, did so to have improved living conditions, did so that successive generations will be better off.
What's the role for the outgoing government? Do you foresee having talks with them immediately or in the very near future?
It has to be a continuous conversation.
We are not in a witch hunting exercise. We are not in any witch hunting exercise. Let me make that very clear. We are going to act professionally. I'm using a lot of pineapple. I'm no doctor, but I'm telling you some of the things they can do locally are utilized to ensure that the perpetrators of this. Let us remember.
Good. So just to put things in perspective, after that piece by the on arrival day, rather, you had another piece where he's promising to engage the opposition continuously, and we know that has not been done. As a matter of fact, they're refusing now to engage the opposition. And then we had Irfan Ali given his take on remedies for COVID. He said he uses a lot of pineapple. He uses a lot of pineapple. And then we saw that stumble there. I think that was at Bartica. And then we had, the mispronunciation of perpetrators, right, as perpetuators of crimes. So this is a gift that keeps on giving. And we didn't even talk about caming out as yet and all of those kinds of things, but we're still trying to put our hands on that piece. Guys, what are your thoughts?
All right, Sherrod. So I'm gonna go first. With regards to the arrival day speech, Sherrod, it is very clear from primary school we would have learned, and I would stick to I've been an African. I will stick to that. We came here as slaves. Our foreparents came as slaves to Guyana. They were brought against their own free will. Some were beaten, they were raped, some were even murdered. They were made to work strenuously, unlimited hours, and they were treated in such inhumane manner. So for the president of this country to now come and speak about coming to Guyana or they came here, let me say what he said, for betterment or for better living conditions, it tells me that probably he would have missed the entire primary. Perhaps he went from primary all the way to the university there at IFLOT. Because the smallest child, once they enter primary school, they would learn, they would know that. As a matter of fact, parents can teach their children that at home. It is basic social studies. Africans came as slaves, and that can never change. No one can ever rewrite our history. It is history, and it is already written. And so I somewhat don't understand what he was speaking about and to whom he was referring. So the questions still linger in the air as to what this guy was really speaking about and to whom he was really speaking, or of whom, about whom. I don't know, because we know about slaves, we know about indentured laborers, and we can continue. And so for him to say they came for betterment, it is as if he is saying that you're in a country where you're suffering or in a place where you're suffering and you're coming. You know, back in the days when you go to America, United States of America, you're going for betterment. So it was like they're leaving
Oh yeah.
their homelands to go to the United States of America for betterment.
To live the dream of the new world, the new world
The
dream.
dream of the new world as a slave.
Yeah.
So I think he totally misunderstood, or probably the person who did the writing of the speech, probably they made a mistake with that part.
Yeah. Yeah. Ricky, what did you make of this?
I was trying to remember his name, this journalist, this novelist, David Aberdeen. Have you ever seen or listened to the video? The when you look at the Indian indentured labor ship.
Oh yes. Oh
It's a
yes.
beautiful video, and within that context of that videography that he did there, and he had this older woman that I've really enjoyed that he was talking to her, because she was talking this real patois, this language and a little bit of Hindi mixed and so on together.
Uh-huh.
And she talking when it came here, they were fooled. They were promises things.
Uh-huh. Tell us
We're
about
promising
that.
that there's a lot of money and the wages and the living condition and so on. So when the president is talking about, the installed president is talking about we came here for development and all these things and so on, I think he missed the
Yeah.
whole boat.
As a
He
matter of
came in the
fact,
wrong boat.
his
He
precise
came in
words
the
were,
wrong
let
boat.
us remember, his precise words were, let us remember that every group that came did so for improvement, did so to have improved living conditions, did so that successive generations will be better off.
Sharad, you remember when we had our 2020 campaign in Kovanjan here?
Yes.
That location that we had that set up, that thing is right there. My grandparents had mud house. So I don't know about development, if you understand. So he need a bit of
Yeah.
lessons. And as Vinceroy was saying, I'm so disappointed as a young person now coming up and to understand the real politics and get into the policies and all these things and so on. And we always say the future is in our young people's hand. But bro, this is really a disappointment. You are a president that bonded with an I would say what? Unlimited resources.
A president with a PhD behind his name too. Quote unquote.
Unlimited resources. They budgeted how much? $40 to $50 million for vehicles. He should have taken that money and pay persons to help to do
research and so on,
and whatever you do, and research and all these things before you go out as a president. Not to sit in a fancy vehicle and drive. And after today, I'm talking about Dr. Jagan, but that's normal surgery and this and going around. They don't know nothing. So they had a whole half an hour lecture, a Kemraj and Shad Jagan, and the way he used to think about the ideology, the way he used to do things.
Cadillac lifestyle and donkey cart economy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And and Sharad, it's so when you talk about his intellectual here, it's very questionable. You can, as a young president, this is what you be doing. I've been grinding my ass night and day for getting proper resources and everything we done. You have the resources, use it wisely, use it appropriately.
Correct. Clearly, something is wrong where research and speech writers are concerned here. Jermaine Figueira, Member of Parliament, MP. What's happening in Region 10, and what are your thoughts on this, bizarre recantation of history?
I think your choice of word bizarre is what encapsulates the entire statements made by this installed president. Both statements were somewhat, in my view, offensive. But let me stress on your first question with regards to Region 10. We're no better off with regards to dealing with COVID-19 in this region. I mean, in less than 7 days, we had 46 new cases, and 4 secondary schools were put to close right now. They are suspended. All all activities at the school in the physical environment has been canceled because some staff and students are infected with COVID. So we have seen a consistent rise in COVID within the region. I know
Right ahead, Jermaine.
y- yes, the bishop was the bishop and several other ministers were up here, and the bishop was on one of the radio station, and I was told that he was um, bombasting me and my comrade
Well,
MPD Vinceroy.
the bishop knows when he
But
goes to Linen, he gets in a lot of trouble. Firearm
yeah,
goes missing and all kinds of things. You got to be careful there.
yeah, I mean, he was basically trying to say that basically like trying to say that I'm responsible for persons in Region 10 not going out to accept the COVID vaccine, and that's because
But they
Region
were
10
the
has
folks who told people that COVID wasn't real during the campaign.
exactly. But I'm saying, Shara, the entire population is aware that the COVID vaccine is available. We have promoted that in the region. The persons are very much aware of where the locations are for this COVID vaccine. I believe the vaccination is important. However, I believe it is a personal choice. It's not a dictatorial approach where everybody is mandated to take it. Persons who would have done their own research and listened to their own doctor's advice. Some of those residents have family members who are doctors, who are nurses, and they would have heeded to the advice given to them. But
Yeah.
I am of the view that the vaccine is important, but I most firmly believe it is a personal choice of the individuals
But
to
MB
make that
Figueira, as
decision.
you're on that, the government seems to have a tacit mandatory policy because I see, for instance, Giftland is almost mandating staff. They want staff to bring their cards for it to be photocopied and added to their work file. I see GPL also have a similar kind of policy where they're almost mandating staff to go and get tested, go and get the vaccine.
Exactly. So those are very much concerning episodes that is being revealed to the public, revealed to the population. We are aware that COVID is real. We acknowledge that. We understand the efforts that were put towards the campaign of publicizing the issue of COVID and the regime taking measures to provide vaccines, and all of those things are indeed important. But I understand the dilemma, because if you look at it, most of the economy that presently pertains is fueled by an informal structure. Most of the people
Yeah.
who are hustling, so to speak, depend on the clusters of people. And that's why, even, despite all of the measures the government is putting in, persons are still taking the risk. Some people gonna promote a barbecue, they're gonna do whatever it is, because at the end of the day, they have families to feed. Government is saying that you should stay home and practice social distancing, but you're not giving them the COVID grant. And that is why I would have said, Shara, the government needs to take a different approach. And that is why consultation with the opposition is paramount in this fight against COVID. You cannot speak in one thing and give fancy rhetoric, but your actions speak to
Yep,
something
yep,
else.
yep. Oneness and
So
unity and corridor of unity
you
and
can't have
military
one Guyana.
happiness. Yeah.
You're not discussing these national issues with broad consultations with members of the opposition. We control a very large sector of the population. Our comrades, our supporters listen to us, and we believe we can bring to the table what is needed to flatten the curve in
Very
the
well.
rise of this COVID pandemic within the country. And Sherrod, listen, the fact that a lot of people are not on the fixed establishment, and many who were on the fixed establishment were fired arbitrarily. We are saying that the government needs to take that reality into consideration and provide a greater COVID relief to those most vulnerable, those persons who aren't on the fixed establishment. And we're saying give the most vulnerable members of the population an increase in COVID grants. Give them $100,000, and all
And
public
that's what we have
servants,
said from the inception. That's
and
what we have
all
said
public
from the inception.
servants,
Yeah.
and all public servants who are on the fixed establishment, all public servants who didn't get an increase after 2 budgets were read, don't tax their salaries. Give them
Yeah.
non-taxable salaries for probably 6 months, and give,
And
and you will have more
German, that is the
resources.
challenge there, because I mean they can't even give the increase that Parliament approved.
Yes.
They have not even announced that increase as yet. And remember, it is the installed vice president who came out to say, oh, it's in line item 40 something 10. Right? This increase in
Yeah.
public servants. 2 or 3 months later, public servants still do not know how much their salary is going to increase, but there has been no announcement. So to ask them now to give that might be asking a lot out of a government that promises a lot but delivers very little.
Yeah, but they know who they want to deliver to, because 2 times the sugar workers would have gotten an increase. 2 times, even though the CEO, who they were saying is the turnaround doctor for Gaisuko, came out and said that they don't have no money. And all
Guys,
of a
jump in
sudden,
anywhere, because even
1 or
on
2%.
that, and said these guys were entitled to it because of the hardship and perhaps emotional distress of the industry closing down. They're
yeah,
entitled
but all
to
of them
20%.
were in receipt of severance. All of them had severance packages.
Correct.
So what are
But
they
that
really
is what
saying?
Ricky spoke to early on about not having equity in the distribution of
Of an
our
incentive.
wealth.
Yeah. So
That is the challenge
it's
that we have there.
amazing. It's a very bizarre, as you would put it, bizarre situation of a lot of things that is happening under this installed regime, and it's most unfortunate.
You see, German,
You know.
when you don't balance the resources and you don't understand the complexity and the makeup of our citizens of this country, then you're gonna end up with chaos. You
Yes.
understand? We are depending on each other. That's how we are. That's how we have learned from since in Vinceroy same primary school days. We have to learn to coexist. You understand? We can't live without each other. And they must understand that, and it's going to be them. The system that the AP and UAFC government put in place is going to be hard. And this is many times. I talked this thing is about 6-7 months ago. It's going to hard for them to understand what system we were putting in place, because we have an inclusivity for each and every Guyanese here. And
Yes.
today, Jermaine, I'm telling you this, man. I was telling Chad earlier that every day we're receiving calls that people are fed up already, and it's only 8 months. But people
Yes,
have to come out and speak.
I think
very well.
I think people are hesitant to speak because you're getting no recourse. The government don't even want to speak to the leader of the opposition.
Well,
one of the
German, the leader
foremost
of the
leaders in the
opposition,
country.
the leader of the opposition spoke to the government, because with that stupidness that Irfan spoke there, the leader of the opposition wrote to him immediately. And part of what you wrote, I wanna quote here. He said that your statement suggests, this is the leader of the opposition to the installed president, your statement suggests that Africans who are brought here against their will, bound in chains and transported across the Atlantic in subhuman conditions, did so for improvements. Nowhere is this recorded as a historical fact. And he goes on to say that it is useful to recall that slavery and the slave trade were declared as crimes against humanity by the World Conference Against Racism, Racial Discrimination, Xenophobia, and Related Intolerance in the Durban, South Africa conference of August 31st to September 7th of 2001. And these are things you would think that, as Ricky said earlier on, or one of you guys, that a head of state would have the resources, the researchers, the whoever, to find out. Even if you don't know, because you drop out of UG, you got the resources to find out. Constructive knowledge, you're in a position to know, but you don't care to know.
Listen, Sherrod, if I may, you that statement. I mean, listen, I think the authors of that message, the script writers, the speech writers, whoever you want to call them, I think
Uh-huh.
those individuals should not be fired, but they should be given some other responsibility. Because when
They might need to the
president,
scholarships that's sharing out to go and do
that
some
should be
proper
considered.
schooling. And a
That
scholarship got to
definitely,
be given to Irfan at least because he needs
yeah.
some rounding up in his history.
Sharon,
Or maybe
I wanna mention a quick something, and
where's
this
the
is the
head Ricky?
perspective. I mentioned this perspective when I was reading News Source report when the president apologizes, and I wrote and I said clearly, I said, when you get caught between two things, like with his action and words, you just get results like that. So let me break it down. When you talk about one Guyana and oneness, that is a word. And when you're doing something differently, like Jermaine was saying, you fired so much people. Yes, I mean you only the equity of distribution of the resources of Guyana. Then you're gonna have those trouble. You cannot
Yeah,
distinguish between what is real and what is unreal.
yeah.
What is not real. It is hard for you to determine that. Like
It's
the
a
last
kind of
time,
madness.
yeah, like when we talk over 2015, the false economy that they had, they're still going back to the same thing again. Everything is back in business, man.
Well,
Yeah,
Sherrod,
Yes.
and yeah. Where the head Vinceroy?
Ricky spoke about the point oneness and one Guyana, and we have to be very careful as to the path that we're heading down. I read a statement from the Attorney General, the installed Attorney General, where he spoke about trying to justify the $200 million that was given to Gaisuku against um, Londoners being paid, the electricity bills being paid for Londoners, or the subsidy being paid
Mm-hmm.
to Londoners, and the workers who were dismissed years ago because of the downsizing or right sizing, as Mr. Ramshaw would normally put it, of the sugar industry. And those are some very strong statements coming from the Attorney General.
Yeah.
When
Maybe Lyndon
we
never
look,
suffered nothing.
yeah, but we have to really look at those um, sentences and paragraphs and really examine what he's really speaking about, and the path
But
that
where
he's
is the
taking
oneness
behind his goal.
there? Where is the
And where
oneness there?
is
The
the
only
oneness?
oneness seems to be
And
the rewriting of history to say we all came here for improved conditions.
right, right. And where is the one Guyana when you're going to start measuring sugar workers against Londoners? When
Yeah.
we all know
And
that Linden
and you know
is of
what?
a
Yeah.
particular ethnicity, and sugar workers, which they still think is somewhat all East Indians. But sugar
Yeah.
workers, I worked with Gaisuku before. I worked with Gaisuku for 4 years. And I think they need to take a check now, go to the estates and see that there are a number of black people working on the estates. And
Yeah.
when they're trying to justify this thing, but and they keep saying East Indian, East Indian, East Indian. Where is the oneness that you're speaking about when the Attorney General is going to come and say publicly that they had to or still subsidizing the Londoners with electricity? I think the
Well,
president really needs.
Priya said she didn't mind too much. It's came versus brought. No, no big deal. Right?
Right,
This is who
I
thinks that
saw the
she is a
honorable.
preposition. Came versus brought.
Right,
No big deal. Minister of Education.
But
but
Sharon,
then
this was. Go ahead.
we we have to be very careful, because it is the same installed government that is speaking about oneness. It's coming from the president, but when you look from the vice president coming all the way down to the ministers and those at the regional level, they are quickly or
The
trying very
segregationists.
hard as possible to damage the fabric of unity in Guyana.
Yeah.
They're the one destroying
Yeah.
the unity among the people. And so the president speaking about oneness, indeed, is just waste of time, because
Yeah.
nobody in his cabinet, nobody in the offices that he would have installed are practicing oneness. When you look at
And
the people who are being dismissed on a daily basis, um, who or who can you tell about oneness? Who would
yeah, and
believe the
as
oneness he's
German
speaking
comes
about?
in, Priya said, came versus brought, no big deal there. I saw says Gunraj today. This
Mhm.
madman here, he says apologizing doesn't always mean that you are wrong. The other person is right. It just means you value your relationship more than your ego. He was quoting. Mark Matthews. He ends his post by saying the gentleman values his relationship with the Guyanese people. So the president in wrong that Africans came here for betterment and for development. He's not wrong. It's just that he values his relationship with the Guyanese people. What bullshit is this?
Listen, this was an arrival day speech, all right, and I think the president missed an opportunity to advance towards
The
unity.
president's speech was more divisive.
When he defeated his entire message of what he tried to put, a unity message, when he gave certain highlights to one particular ethnic group, the East Indian, in an arrival day speech. He made mention of all of the some of the contributions some of these different groups that come together made. But in 2 paragraphs in the first speech, you highlighted the contributions of Indians. So what about the contributions of others? Now, I am not saying that you shouldn't acknowledge the contribution as a message to Indian Arrival Day, but you cannot put that message in the Arrival Day message when we are trying to reference all the groups that come together. And that is what he essentially did. And I think his attempt to correct himself, he committed a double insult to the African Guyanese community by actually admitting that in his initial statement, he didn't even include the Africans, because what he essentially said is that the Africans. I mean, if you really try to dissect the 2 statements, it really shows a gross contradiction, and it basically clearly shows that he lied.
That simple sentence, yes, he wiped away 400 years of African Guyanese history, or slavery on the whole, because of course we know that slaves did not come to the New World for betterment.
Yes.
Right. As a matter of fact, they did not came. They were brought. They did not come. They were brought.
Exactly.
Right. So that is where we are. So he was factually incorrect.
He probably had a mistake with Christopher Columbus there, because he was
sailing. He's sailing. He's sailing
many
right
things
now.
were wrong about his statements.
Look,
many things were wrong.
Look, even though if you look at his press conference, and I always must examine it, that even got a division among it. There are certain reporters who will ask him question and you answers are like quickly on it. And there was certain amount of reporters, when he asked a question, he fumbled and go wrong and push him aside.
And he's antagonistic. He's antagonistic to certain reporters. And these are certain reporters whose ethnicities are different from his. Right? Who is Village Voice? Who is y'all?
Yeah.
When y'all start publishing, right? He has a certain posture. And we have to call it for what it is. Folks, as we're talking about this fraudulent administration, just recently we had the court cases of the elections petition. 88 was heard. And in that day, lots of Guyanese took to the street wanting their voice to be heard. In any democratic society, that is allowed. And now we're seeing Christopher Jones and Annette Ferguson being charged, being dragged before the court. Members of Parliament, I want to take part of what the leader of the opposition said this morning as he attended court with our colleagues, and then we have some of your thoughts on the other side.
Annette Ferguson MP and 6 other persons were charged with possessing unlawfully without the permission of the Chief of Police. Now, from the time you hear those words, Chief of Police, you can understand the whole ordinance under which a charge like this is brought. So we don't have Chief of Police anymore. And so the matters came before the magistrate this morning. The magistrate took the statements from the prosecutor. In fact, the prosecutors were not ready. And this is my main concern, that you summon people before the court and still you're not ready with the statements that you have to deliver so that the trials can go ahead. This morning, the attorneys and the clients were ready to go to trial and finish this charade. It is in fact a charade. This is really what is happening. The police are acting at the behest of the political administration. The two MPs, if you have here, on it for she has a judgment against Jagio for $20 million. Christopher Jones has a matter in the High Court against them. Both of them will succeed. And so what they are doing now, they are using the police as a weapon against these MPs. But this is not just about them. It's about all of us. Because what we are seeing here is a sort of the state using terrorism against its own people. And so we have to link this with the last statements that were made against Amanzo Walton this year. This question about marking. And you know what happened when people use those things? You remember the boys in West Coast Bobbies, the Henry brothers, the marking. Remember Ronald Waddle, that was marked. And so what is happening here is that the PPP, they are giving power and they're giving strength to their supporters to come against us in opposition. What we are seeing here is basically terrorism, the beginning of terrorism and state-sponsored terrorism. These are not just about ordinary charges. This is not about ordinary charges. So what we want the world to know, this is what it is. This is not just two ordinary charges. This is a part of a process of terrorizing the opposition, terrorizing the Guyanese public, terrorizing everybody who come against this installed regime. Anybody. And they don't even understand the history of this country when they make statements. So what I'm saying is that this is a wake-up call for all Guyanese, that we must stand firm together. This is important because what we are seeing here is a state-sponsored terrorism. Today is Chris and Annette, tomorrow could be anybody else.
So they talk unity and oneness, and yet we see them going after political opponents in this very, very vicious and crude manner. Guys? Ricky, let me unmute you. Watch your mics. Watch your mics, guy.
Yeah.
Vinceroy?
Oh, sorry.
Go right
Sorry.
ahead.
Yeah,
no,
sure.
I was like, I made a statement earlier on that that headline, you know, and I state I think it was news source again, and you know, I told my folks and my friends on my Facebook, I said, you know what, we are going to be a better government. You understand? When we were in government, we have respected the oppositions them. Those cases that they went to court were to the extremists, bro. You understand? Not for a protest and all these things. They had protests too. We could have jailed them up. But when they went and tumbled up in Pegasus and all these things, we could have locked all of them up. But we are not like that. We are a better government and we are a better generation of people in this country. And I want all our viewers to see and to understand this. I know you feel like you want to create a war, you want to start a tension. But we're not going to be bricked by these things. I want them to understand that. We're not going to be bricked by these things. In fact, they're digging a bigger hole for themselves. Trust me.
Correct. Vinceroy?
Yeah, sure. I just want to say one thing. Remember the Pegasus issue with
when they upturn, they try to upturn
and the others with the rockers. And let us take a good look. Ricky spoke about respecting the opposition. Under the David Granger administration, we allowed the opposition to do what was legally right. We allowed the opposition to function and even allowed the opposition to do some nonsense. And we did not interfere politically. Take a look and remember what happened at Pegasus. Look at what the president did then. And anybody can measure, put that against the PPP, and we will know who the PPP really is.
Well, man, compare Irfan to Granger's chalk the cheese. I mean, look, couple
no,
of
no.
months. Look, Marcus, Irfan talking. Could we look at one tape where Granger's ever made a mistake, has ever misspoke, and had to come back and correct himself after giving what should be a major speech to this country?
We cannot compare Irfan Sherrod to His Excellency David Arthur Granger. When you speak about David and you look at Irfan, with the two, they're incomparable. David is way higher than Irfan. So let's not go down that line. Let's not go down that line.
Yes. David Granger was valedictorian of UG, you know. Irfan drop out.
Right.
Moving on, guys. Chalk the cheese. Moving on. I know as we come to program time, I want to use these last minutes. I know tomorrow we are in Region 3. We are in Region 3. I know I'm in Region 3 tomorrow. I don't know if you guys are there. And though I'm going to be going to lots of the meetings happening in Region 3, in particular, I will be at the community center in Baggotsville between 4 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But I'm going to be in Region 3 all day and lots of the other meetings happening. But specifically, my meeting is at between 4 and 5 in Baggotsville at the community center in Region 3. Where are you guys going to be tomorrow if you guys are in Region 3?
I'm going to be in Stanleytown at 3, Sherrod.
Great.
Stanleytown at the church annex. Myself and Miss the Honorable Amanza Walton Desir. We're going to be at Stanleytown.
Excellent. Ricky, were you there?
We go home by Wickenham.
Wickenham. I think I might come there early. There early and then beat back to
beautiful
the
place,
community center in Baggotsville.
Jermaine,
you on the road to tomorrow?
Yes, I'm at Parafit.
Excellent. I'm gonna make sure I touch base with a couple of these places and then head to where I need to be. So guys, if you're in Region 3, come out to these meetings. We're going to be touching base with you. In some cases, I come into your house. Hope y'all cook something proper tomorrow, right? I hope y'all cook something proper. So we're in Region 3 tomorrow, folks. Guys, any closing thoughts to our Guyanese folks after such a tumultuous week, especially with this speech, this big speech, quote unquote big?
Look, I want to go. Let me go quickly, Sherrod, and I think Jermaine was talking about the COVID thing. This thing is really out of control. In my community here, we already had about 2 deaths already, and 3 deaths in one family, and it's really, really troublesome. And I feel so sorry.
Every day now is deaths. Every day.
Father, to a son, to a sister. Man, this thing is getting out of control, and this thing is hurting my heart inside because you know why? This fella here, that the Minister of Health, one of them, and I think it's the big one, is probably the boss of Ministry of Health. I already got 3 of them there.
Yeah, it's 3.
The man said we had a set of expired drugs, and you know what they're doing? Do you know what the tactics they're doing? They don't want to bring in the drugs to the ministry to distribute free. They're bringing in and give their friends to bring in the drugs, and then you got to go and buy it. Like my mom went this morning to the health center on the Barclays there, and there's no drugs.
But the point I was making, Ricky, y'all are claiming you had all these expired drugs. I haven't heard one case where a citizen died from expired drugs or what have you. But y'all got all the COVID vaccine, non-expired, and people dying every single day.
Yeah, big difference.
People dying every single day, and y'all had the better plan for COVID-19 and to fight. Y'all had a whole task force running parallel to David Granger task force. Right? Y'all coming saying all that y'all gonna do for COVID-19 to beat back the 21 deaths that we had and the 474 confirmed cases. Now we're pushing on 14,000 confirmed cases and 300 deaths. Every day is death.
The private sector gonna sleep though. You didn't hear them out. Because business good for them now. They alone getting all the business.
Only when things biting, then they're talking, like how they talk about the last week and talk about crime. Oh, Mr. President, help me, they're robbing me, they're robbing me.
Yeah.
This is the day after they would have robbed Mr. Matai. And people are entitled to enjoy, their earnings and to work hard and to have good things and so on.
People and you want to do that.
But the private sector got to come out and speak on these issues. COVID, as you rightly say, MP, Ramsaroop is out of control. Vinceroy, Jermaine, your closing thoughts as we go.
Well, I would want to share similar sentiments as Ricky, simply because I understand. Let me tell you the truth, Sherwood. I understand the position that the senior health minister is in, because the number of them, they can't really do the work. The guy just don't know what to do, and the guy is just staying at the back because he don't know what to do. And so I
Mhm.
understand when he just sit and does nothing. The task
Mhm.
force is basically one that goes, sit, eat, and at the end of the day, the curfew remains the same. People are dying. It's the curfew is still on time. At the end of the day, you have a number of cases increasing. Public servants are still working every day in clustered offices. We're having a number of cases in the administrations. You name it, that Ministry of Foreign Affairs. You have it at the RDCs. You name, wherever you go, you got NIS. I saw closed down this afternoon. GRA, and you continue to hear about it. But still, the Minister of Health is taking no stringent measure
Yeah.
to say, look, we have to shut things down and
Because
curb
they're
this
mad. They thought
this
that the
spread.
vaccines was going to be
And
the end all. But now they're
well,
seeing even with the vaccines, things are out of control. I mean, look at India. Because they're different
exactly.
strains, and perhaps we have a couple here already.
And they have to be careful about the strains, the different strains, because if such should hit Guyana, we're in serious trouble. And so I say to Guyanese, our responsibility is to protect and take care of ourselves. Don't wait on the government to take care of you. I'm a COVID survivor, you're a COVID survivor,
Yeah,
Sherrod. And we know that the Ministry of Health under this administration has no plan, and they did nothing for us
exactly.
while we
First
were
hand
COVID
we've learned that.
positive. They did
Correct.
nothing. I can tell the citizens they can do nothing for you once you contract COVID. So you have to protect yourself.
Exactly. Thanks very
Well
much
said.
there,
Well said.
Vinceroy. German?
Listen, COVID is out of control. We all can confirm that. The reality is the government doesn't have an effective plan. The government essentially doesn't know what to do. We are
No plan.
saying the nation health is at risk. The nation people are at risk. And in order for us to address this situation, prudence dictates that you engage the people who would have had COVID under control, which is us, the opposition, as it is right now. So what we're
They'd
saying,
be too shame to do that.
engage
They'd be too shame.
the leadership of the opposition, so that we can bring our ideas to the table, so that we can put this situation in a place that most Guyanese would be most comfortable. Because as it is right now, the state of the country, the state of the economy, everything is at risk because of the poor handling of COVID. But I must go back, Shara, to the president's attempt to correct his misstep, his giant misstep. And if I
Mhm.
could quote part of his speech where he referenced our ancestors, he said, they gave their lives for our freedom. And as a nation, we must be forever grateful. Now, our freedom is at risk with all of these so-called Trump up charges being laid against
Oh, yes.
our our leaders.
Oh,
Is a
yes.
risk to our freedom that the president claims that we must be forever grateful for.
Yeah.
Our freedom to earn a living has been threatened with thousands of public servants, honest, hardworking public servants that you would have
Well said, German.
arbitrarily
Well said.
take away their jobs. Those are
Yeah.
freedoms you must be grateful for and you must respect. He also mentioned, Sharon, we need to begin and to sustain the practice of speaking openly and honestly with each other. I trust that this discussion would start in his cabinet, where they're honest, where they're open to speak with themselves. But most importantly, when they come to that consciousness of having an open and honest conversation about where Guyana should go, they should understand that they must engage the leader of the opposition. It is respect for the law. The Constitution dictates that the leader of the opposition and the president must have conversation. I don't have to like you. I don't have to acknowledge you. We have
But
to
that's how they
respect the
lead.
law.
That's
And
how they
that
lead.
is
It's
what
who they
the
like.
law states. So I'm saying to the PVP, let your words match your actions. You say one
Exactly.
thing, but your
Endorsed.
action speaks differently. Your action tells a different story. And this speech is a microcosm of the chaos that this PPP administration is putting to Guyana. And we really need for us to have this open and honest conversation about race relations in this country, because we never really frontally and honestly address it. And that is why the president can take away 400 years of slavery, people who would have built this country, and put it aside in a speech as if none of those hardships, inhumane treatment that was put towards the Africans that built this country were even given any credence. And you're talking in a speech about Arrival Day, and you selectively pick out one ethnicity and spoke about their contributions in 2 paragraphs, forgetting the contributions about all of the other ethnicity. What about the Amerindians? What about the Chinese? What about all of the ethnicities that make up this beautiful country who would have contributed towards the development of this country? I am saying, let your words be truthful, let it be honest, and let us have an honest conversation about Guyana so that we all can benefit from the plethora of natural resources that we have. 10 billion barrels of oil, and people can't even get $25,000 COVID grant. Come on, you need to do better. And I'm saying the coalition is what is good for this country, and I'm waiting and hopeful that some miracle happen, that this election petition with the appeal is successful so that Guyana could be put back on the right trajectory.
Fantastic note for us to end on. MPs, Vinceroy Jordan, Jermaine, Figueira, and Ricky Ramsaroop, thanks for joining me this evening. Thanks for stepping in the ring. Region 3, we're going to see you guys tomorrow. Region 3, we're going to see you guys tomorrow. For all the rest of you, we're bringing the fight to Region 3 tomorrow. For all the rest of you, see you guys on Monday. See you guys on Monday.
Take care. Take care, fellas.
Have a good evening, everybody.